They just don't build these podiums for us regular-sized people. Constant problem. It's such a thrill to be here today, and I have to say I'm so amazed that we've had so many speakers from so many different sectors, and many of them have already talked about arts and culture, which just underlines the importance of it in our society. And maybe they've covered my topic, and I should do science and technology or athletics or something like that. Just before we start, can I just ask by show of hands how many of you are artists in this room? Okay, so I would consider that a personal failing on our part in the arts sector, and I'll tell you why. We've really focused in the last 40 years on aesthetics to the extent that much of our public school arts education has been removed. We shifted from arts education being about practical application and learning skills to almost an arts appreciation approach, because we were trying to convince you all that you're not artists. We're the artists, and your job is to buy tickets to our events and to support us. And if you can imagine, a core subject, the arts, being relegated to an appreciation status. Like imagine doing a math appreciation class. Where you're not learning about math, you're learning about how to differentiate good from bad mathematicians. Like this is, it's fundamentally flawed. So, for those of you that might need some swaying, your body is a rhythmic instrument. You have a pulse. Music, what we create in dance, is an extension of what we are as human beings. We have a pulse. Our central nervous system creates a pitch. We speak and inflect on pitches all day. We move through space. None of you were here at 8:15. You're all here now. Everything that we do in the arts is just an extension of a natural human function. Now, that's not to say you're all going to make your living as artists. Please don't try. But it's important for you to be connected with it. And we've created a society, and this is true in Canada, but it's true outside of the country as well, where the arts are this sort of outside concept, this abstract notion, rather than being something that's about our common shared humanity. So I'm going to try to convince you that the arts are fundamental today. For any of you that don't think you can sing, or someone told you you should mouth the words, or any of that, I'm around during the intermissions, and I can prove you wrong in terms of your artistic capacity. So we need you to see us as fundamental, and we need to change how we interact with you so that we welcome you in and engage you in the process more than we have in the past. So I hope that sort of underlines the fact for you that the arts are central to being a human being. Beyond that, we've certainly benefited enormously in the last number of years with this notion of creative economies and the rise of the creative class. And this has been discussed ad nauseum, but certainly as our economies change, we do need creativity and innovation. And I think, I won't try to convince you of that, because obviously there's a few books that have been written on the subject, and you can read on that on your own. But clearly that's another core element of what we are, or what we believe in terms of the arts and its role in society. So you would think, if the arts are fundamental, and if innovation and creativity is central to our future and our future success as a country, that arts education would be prevalent in our public school system. Well, for any of you that may have been tracking the stats, you'll find that actually is not the case, that we've actually eroded and eradicated, in many cases, arts education. Despite mounds of evidence, really, there's hundreds and hundreds of studies that show that our children do better when they participate in the arts, in the active participation, the creation process of learning to be an artist. Why is this important in terms of a national identity? Obviously, in terms of competitiveness, it's important, but it's through the arts that we tell our stories, that we share our experiences. The arts really exemplify what human beings are capable of, much like athletics and the sports. The Olympics inspire us to reach higher, to do more. The arts have that same capacity to challenge us, to enrich our lives. We've focused overly, a significant amount of our attention on the notion of arts consumption rather than arts participation. So what we really need in this country is a participation for the arts, something that calls on us all to find ways to communicate, to express our artistic sides. Again, you're not going to be a professional artist, but the decisions you make in terms of how you paint your house, or how you dance, or craft cabinetry, how you write, how you present yourself, these are all artistic and creative initiatives. So, what would I do if we could see things change? Well, obviously, our public school initiatives are really significant and important. Many other countries, there was a lot of interest in Toronto and I think across the country with a system called El Sistema in Venezuela, which the Venezuelan government created a national music system so that kids all across the country could participate in free music education programs. Now that's a bold and ambitious goal, but a country like Venezuela can do it. The United States is oriented itself in this direction as well with the Music Consortium that's looking at building national music programs in the United States. So I really believe that in terms of creating this shared sense of our nation and our identity, the arts are really central in driving that, and in terms of our competitiveness as a country, central in equipping our kids to succeed. There are some stats that were published last week in Ontario looking at high school dropout rates. And the optimistic number is that 62% of our students go on to some training beyond grade 12, which is kind of a frightening number if you think about it. Moving into a knowledge economy, 4 out of 10 of our kids aren't being trained beyond grade 12 or receive a grade 12 education or less. Why is that? Well, our focus is narrowed. We haven't given the artistic and athletic opportunities for students within the public school context that they need. So what I would like to see, and what we would like to propose for the arts, is that we strive to create a national arts education strategy for the country, that we partner with our friends, and I was so glad Dr. Kidd mentioned the notion of arts and athleticism in collaboration. But the participation model for sports, we really need to extend that into the arts as well. What could this look like? Well, imagine being a public school student at any city across the country in Saskatoon. Your teacher has online access to pedagogical resources in terms of teacher training, access to performance content, etc. We also build a community infrastructure, a web community, so that kids go home and they participate in these things in the evenings as well. So we can actually create notions in 2017 of shared songwriting competitions, choreographic competitions amongst our public school children, so that we can then create a sense of a shared participation in this visioning exercise of 2017. So that's basically what I am here to advocate for. Certainly for me, growing up in Winnipeg, were it not for my public school music education, I would not have had the career I've had to date. And it really pains me to think that many of our children do not have those opportunities. So I challenge us all to think of ourselves as artists and to work together to this sort of common and shared end. Thank you.